You ever have one of those moments where life just straight up bitch slaps you out of nowhere? Yeah, that was my wedding day. Picture it. I'm standing at the altar, all suited up, feeling like the king of the world. Kinda like a lottery winner who's not yet aware that taxes are gonna screw him over later. The love of my life, Kimberly, glides down the aisle, smiling like an angel with perfectly groomed devil horns. I'm thinking, man, I'm about to be the happiest guy alive. Spoiler alert, not even close. Everything's going smooth until that moment. Just as the minister clears his throat for the vows, Kimberly leans in, real close. Now I think she's about to whisper something romantic like, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. Instead, I get, here's the deal, Jim. You either sign over your entire paycheck every month or I'm marrying your brother Aaron. Excuse me, what? My mind screeches to a halt like a bad car crash. But before I can even process, some guy in a cheap suit, the type you see on late-night ambulance chasers, steps forward with a stack of papers thicker than my self-respect. Hi, I'm the attorney, he announces, like this is a freaking corporate merger. Just need you to sign here and here. This prenup ensures that Kimberly has full control over finances, assets, and, oh yeah, your balls. I blink. Wait, what the hell is this? We never talked about a prenup. And here's where the gaslighting Olympic team makes their entrance. My parents, Kimberly's parents, and even Aaron, all in perfect synchronization, start saying things like, oh, Jim, honey, you knew about this. You agreed ages ago. Did I? Was there some alternate universe version of me that thought signing away my future was a fun idea? Kimberly gives me this look like I'm a toddler refusing to eat my veggies. Meanwhile, Aaron's standing in the background, looking a little too smug. Probably because he's already imagining his victory lap with my fiancée. I take a deep breath. Listen, I say, voice dripping with sarcasm. I must have missed the memo where I signed up for indentured servitude. So yeah, not happening. The whole place goes silent. Kimberly steps back, dramatically placing a hand on her heart like I just murdered a kitten in front of her. Then, with a voice loud enough to shatter glass, she declares, if Jim won't marry me under these conditions, I should have just chosen Aaron. Cue the gasps. Guests whispering, parents clutching their pearls. Hell, someone probably fainted in the back. And Aaron? Oh, he's loving this. Dude steps forward, trying to act all noble. Kim, I never wanted things to turn out this way, he says, like we're in some low-budget soap opera. That's when I know. This whole thing's a setup. They expected me to cave under pressure like some kind of coward. But not today. Nope. I shoot them my award-winning polite middle finger smile, drag out a moment of dramatic silence, and walk the hell out. No speeches, no scene, just me, exiting my own wedding like a goddamn legend. Let me paint you a picture. Me, in a full tuxedo, wandering aimlessly through the city park like the rejected groom in a rom-com nobody wanted to watch. Birds are chirping, kids are laughing, and here I am, the human embodiment of a train wreck. I'm pretty sure at least 2 tourists took pictures, probably thinking I'm some performance art piece titled Man Abandoned at the Altar. I plop down on a bench, my brain spiraling into a flashback montage like some PTSD movie reel. Of course, it's all about Aaron, the golden boy, the chosen one, the prodigal son who could probably sneeze and still get a standing ovation from our parents. See, it's always been like this. Dad, a.k.a. Richard the Almighty, and Mom, the ever-doting Linda, made it clear from day one who their favorite was. Aaron was given the keys to the family business at 25, while I got life lessons like, figure it out yourself, Jim. It builds character. Yeah, thanks, Dad. You know what else builds character? Trauma. So there I was, busting my ass to make something of myself while Aaron played CEO like it was some video game he could never lose. And now he's probably back at the wedding, comforting my fiancée, saying, don't worry, Kim, I'll take care of everything, while flashing that smarmy smile. God, I want to punch that smile so bad it should be listed as an Olympic event. I hear my phone buzzing. Kimberly. Again. Then Mom. I let out a bitter laugh. Yeah, like I'm about to answer that. The voicemail probably says, "Jim, you embarrassed us in front of everyone. Couldn't you just compromise?" "Oh, sure, Mom. Next time I'll just hand over my soul on a silver platter. My bad." I lean back on the bench, rubbing my temples. This whole thing has Aaron's fingerprints all over it. He's always been into Kimberly. I should have seen the red flags, but nope. I was too busy playing good guy Jim, trying to prove I was worth a damn to anyone in that dysfunctional circus I call a family. I replay the wedding scene in my head, Kimberly's ultimatum, Aaron's heroic entrance, and it hits me. This wasn't just some coincidence. This was a damn setup. Aaron knew exactly what he was doing. He orchestrated this whole mess like some diabolical puppet master. And the worst part? He didn't even have to lift a finger. He let everyone else do the dirty work for him. Kimberly, Mom, Dad. Hell, even the guests probably bought into the narrative that I'm the ungrateful screw-up who couldn't handle commitment. The blame game is in full swing, and guess who's the designated loser? Yours truly. I sigh, shaking my head. They didn't just ruin a wedding. They turned it into my personal downfall in front of an entire audience. I can already see tomorrow's headlines. Man walks out on fiancé, leaves brother to pick up the pieces. Perfect. Just perfect. But you know what? Screw it. I'm done playing their game. If they want a villain, I'll give them a damn good one. First, though, I need a drink. A strong one. Because let's face it, things are only going to get messier from here. A few hours later, I'm still mentally replaying the day's disaster when my phone starts buzzing again. I glance at the caller ID, Aaron, of course, because apparently my nightmare isn't complete until he adds his smug commentary. I sigh and answer, already regretting it. "Hey, Jim," he chirps. He sounds like a salesman who's about to offer me a 2-for-1 betrayal deal. "How you holding up?" "Oh, just peachy," I deadpan. "Really loving the whole ruined wedding vibe I've got going today. And you?" Aaron laughs, a sound so irritating it could shatter glass. "Aw, come on. Don't be like that. Weddings are stressful, man. You needed a break, clearly." I clench my jaw. Right. A break. From my own wedding. You were there, Aaron. Don't act like you weren't enjoying the show. "Whoa, easy there," he says with that syrupy, fake concerned tone that makes me want to punch a wall. "I just wanted to check in on you. I mean, Kim was upset, you know? She didn't want things to go down like that." "Oh, really?" I snort. "Because it kinda seemed like you and Kimberly had this whole thing planned out. You swoop in, play the savior, and suddenly I'm the villain who walks out on her. Convenient, huh?" There's a pause, just long enough for him to let the tension build. Then, in his most patronizing voice, he says, "Look, Jim, it's not my fault she made her choice. Sometimes life's just like business, competition. And hey, you win some, you lose some." I take a deep breath. He's baiting me, and I know it. But damn it, it's working. "Wow," I say, forcing a laugh. "So now you're calling this competition? You sabotaged my wedding and now you're giving me a TED Talk on losing gracefully?" "Hey, I'm just trying to help," he replies, barely suppressing a chuckle. "I mean, we'll probably have to reschedule the wedding. Kim needs time to process everything. But don't worry, you'll still be invited. Maybe you can even be my best man. Wouldn't that be fun?" My vision goes red for a second. I tighten my grip on the phone, reminding myself that strangling someone through a phone isn't technically possible. Yet. "Yeah, Aaron," I say through gritted teeth. "Sounds like a blast." "Good to hear," he says cheerfully. "Anyway, take care, bro. We'll catch up soon." Click. I stare at the phone, my hand shaking with barely contained rage. Aaron isn't just gloating, he's savoring every second of this. He set the whole thing up, and now he's basking in his triumph like the egotistical man-child he's always been. But he doesn't know me as well as he thinks he does. I've got one thing he doesn't, the ability to think long-term. Aaron's arrogance has blinded him, and that's going to be his downfall. Somewhere in his perfect little world, there's a crack, and I'm going to find it. This isn't over. You ever notice how life turns into a weird detective movie when you're plotting revenge on your own brother? Yeah, that was me. For the next few days, I became Jim Holmes. The mystery of Aaron's secret life. And trust me, the clues were juicier than a soap opera on steroids. I started by casually bumping into people from Aaron's circle. Old classmates, business contacts, even a few gym buddies who clearly spent more time on Instagram than lifting weights. I played it cool, dropping subtle questions like, "So Aaron's been keeping busy, huh?" Or, "He's got a lot going on these days, doesn't he?" The responses were about what you'd expect. "Oh yeah, Aaron's always juggling women, business deals, and, well, more women." Shocker. My brother couldn't resist a pretty face even if his life depended on it. I figured if anyone had dirt on him, it'd be one of the many women he'd probably burned along the way. Problem was, tracking down the right one was like looking for a needle in a haystack, and I was running out of time. Exactly 3 days into my amateur sleuthing, I got the invitation. Yep, you guessed it. Aaron and Kimberly's wedding. The damn thing was scheduled for exactly 1 week after my disaster of a wedding day. Talk about fast-tracking. These people weren't just rubbing salt in the wound, they were pouring an entire salt mine on it. I needed leverage. Fast. That's when I decided to call in a pro. Enter Vinny, private investigator and part-time cynic. The guy looked like he'd seen enough betrayal and backstabbing to make a therapist cry. "So you want dirt on your brother?" he said, lighting a cigarette like we were in a noir film. "Any specifics?" "Women," I replied. "He's got a habit of screwing things up, literally. I need someone who's got a grudge." Vinny smirked. "Ah, the classic woman scorned. Don't worry, guys like your brother, they always leave a trail." And damn, was he right. 2 days before the wedding, Vinny called me with the jackpot. "I found her," he said. "Name's Amelia. Former flame. Currently pregnant with your brother's kid. Looks like things didn't end on good terms." Pregnant? Of course. Aaron's arrogance finally came back to bite him. We set up a meeting at a small cafe, the kind of place where no one asks questions if you're having a shady conversation in the corner. I arrived early, trying to play it cool while internally screaming. I'd heard about Amelia before, but I'd never met her. Rumor had it she and Aaron had a messy fallout, but no one ever gave me the full story. Now, I was about to get the unfiltered version. Vinny showed up first, giving me a nod as he took a seat. "She'll be here soon," he said. "Just be patient." Patient? Yeah, right. I was a ticking time bomb at this point. And then she walked in. Amelia. Tall, confident, and with a glare that could melt steel. This was not a woman to mess with, and judging by the look on her face, she had plenty to say about my dear brother. "Jim?" she asked, raising an eyebrow as she sat down. "I hear you've got questions about Aaron." Oh, I had questions all right, and something told me she had the answers I needed to bring my brother's perfect little world crashing down. Amelia sat across from me, stirring her coffee like she was mentally preparing to unload a nuclear bomb of drama. And honestly, I was here for it. "So you want the truth about Aaron?" she began, her voice calm but laced with bitterness. "Well, here it is. I'm pregnant, 7 months along. And guess who the father is?" I leaned forward, giving her the best no-shit Sherlock look I could manage. "Aaron, obviously." She rolled her eyes. "Yeah, and surprise, surprise. He promised to be there for me. Said he'd take responsibility, support me, all that. But now, he's ghosted. Doesn't answer calls, doesn't respond to messages. 1 minute he's playing the doting boyfriend, the next he's Houdini." Figures. Aaron always loved disappearing acts, especially when things got inconvenient for him. I shook my head. "Let me guess. He made it sound like you were the most important thing in his life?" "Exactly," she huffed. "I believed him like an idiot. We talked about starting a family. He said he wasn't like those other guys who run when things get tough." She laughed bitterly. "Guess what? He's exactly like those guys." "Classic Aaron," I muttered under my breath. "Always making promises he never intends to keep." Amelia's eyes narrowed. "Wait, why do you care? What's your angle here?" I leaned back, tapping the table lightly with my fingers. "Let's just say Aaron and I have a complicated relationship. He's been screwing me over for years. Figuratively, not literally, thank God. But today, you're my ace in the hole. She raised an eyebrow. Meaning? Meaning, I said, leaning in again. Aaron's getting married in 2 days. To Kimberly. The same Kimberly who was supposed to be my wife until he sabotaged our wedding. So, Aaron's getting married? He left me pregnant and now he's tying the knot? I was already planning to go to court and lawyer up, but now I'm furious. I replied, Amelia, I'm ready to help you get justice, publicly. Her eyes lit up with intrigue. I'm listening. Here's the plan, I said, my voice lowering conspiratorially. We're going to crash Aaron's wedding. You've got proof, right? Texts, photos, hell, a DNA test once the baby's born? Amelia nodded, a smirk creeping onto her face. Oh, I've got plenty of receipts. Aaron might think he's untouchable, but he's left a paper trail. And if a DNA test is what it takes, I'm ready to do that too. Good, I said, feeling a surge of adrenaline. Here's what we'll do. You'll come to the wedding as my guest. We're going to time this perfectly. When they least expect it, we'll blow his whole charade to pieces, publicly. Amelia leaned forward, her smirk widening. You want me to ruin Aaron's wedding? I'm in. That bastard deserves it. Oh, trust me, I said, grinning for the first time in days. This is going to be a show for the ages, and when we're done, Aaron won't know what hit him. We shook hands like conspirators in a heist movie. Amelia was serious. She wasn't just here for revenge. She wanted justice for herself and her unborn child. And I was ready to give her the stage she needed. Aaron wanted competition? He's about to get a front row seat to the biggest downfall of his life. Weddings. Beautiful occasions filled with love, laughter, and impending chaos. Today was no exception. I arrived at Aaron's wedding like the calm before a storm, dressed sharp and ready to play the part of the composed guest, at least until the fireworks began. The ceremony was being held at some ridiculously expensive country club, the kind of place where people pretend their marriages are investments. Aaron had spared no expense. Bouquets everywhere, champagne fountains, and a string quartet playing something that made me want to nap. All perfectly curated to scream, "Look how much better my life is than yours." And there he was, the groom himself. Aaron strutted around in his designer tux like he owned the world, which, in his head, he probably did. The moment he spotted me, he zeroed in like a hawk. Here we go. "Jim," he called out, grinning like a Cheshire cat. "You actually came. I wasn't sure you had the guts." "Oh, you know me," I said, giving him my best poker face. "I wouldn't miss this for anything." Aaron clapped a hand on my shoulder, squeezing it just a little too hard. "Glad to hear it. I mean, you might as well get used to it, right? Kimberly's with me now. She's finally found someone who can give her everything she deserves." "Everything?" I echoed, raising an eyebrow. "Like empty promises?" He laughed, clearly not catching the sarcasm. "Nah, man. Like financial security, stability. I'm making bank these days, Jim. I can give Kim a life of luxury. Not like when she was with you." He smirked, oozing arrogance. "Let's face it, she upgraded." I nodded slowly, keeping my expression neutral. "Calm down, Jim. Just a little longer." "Good for you, Aaron. You're really living the dream." "Damn right," he said with a wink. "Maybe one day you'll get there too. But for now, just enjoy the show, huh?" Oh, trust me, I was going to enjoy the show, just not the one he expected. Fast forward to the ceremony. Guests were seated, the altar was set, and Kimberly was making her grand entrance in a dress that probably cost more than my car. The minister began his spiel, and I quietly slipped out, signaling Amelia to follow me inside. It was time. We made our move just as Aaron was about to say his vows. The room was silent, filled with that cheesy romantic tension you only get at weddings. And then, boom. "Aaron!" Amelia's voice echoed like a bomb going off. All heads turned as she marched down the aisle, looking like a storm ready to tear everything apart. "You lying, cheating bastard!" Gasps, whispering. One guy in the back dropped his champagne flute. Aaron froze, his face turning a lovely shade of ghost white. Kimberly's eyes darted between Amelia and Aaron, confusion quickly turning into suspicion. "I'm pregnant with your child, Aaron," Amelia declared, her voice steady and deadly. "And you've been running from your responsibility like the coward you are." The crowd erupted in murmurs. Parents exchanged horrified glances. The minister looked like he was seconds from fleeing. Aaron, meanwhile, stood there like a deer caught in the headlights, sweat forming on his forehead. "Amelia," he stammered, his voice cracking. "What? What are you doing here?" "Oh, don't play dumb," she shot back. "You promised to be there for me. You said we were going to build a family. And now you're here pretending to be Mr. Perfect Husband? Give me a break." All eyes were on Aaron now. He tried to speak, but nothing coherent came out. Kimberly crossed her arms, her face twisted in disbelief. "Is this true, Aaron?" she asked, her voice icy. I can explain," Aaron stuttered, glancing desperately at me. I gave him a polite smile, the kind that said, "You're screwed, buddy." "Explain?" Amelia scoffed. "Please, you've been avoiding me for months, but guess what? I'm done being ignored." The room fell into a tense, awkward silence. Everyone was waiting for Aaron's next move, but he was too busy drowning in his own panic. And me? I was savoring every damn second of it. All eyes were locked on Aaron, whose face had gone from smug groom to man realizing his life just imploded. You could almost hear the gears in his brain screeching to a halt as he desperately tried to spin this disaster. "Look, everyone, there's been a misunderstanding," Aaron finally sputtered, his voice cracking like a teenager caught sneaking out past curfew. "Misunderstanding?" Amelia's laughter sliced through the tension like a dagger. "Oh, sweetheart, I've got receipts." With that, she pulled out her phone and started scrolling through photos. "Here's you and me at the beach," she said, holding it up for everyone to see. "Oh, and this one's from our trip to that fancy vineyard. You know, the one where you promised we'd have a future together." The guests gasped in unison, like a choir of scandalized ants at Thanksgiving dinner. Aaron looked like he was about to throw up. Amelia wasn't done. She flashed another screen. "And here's the text where you said, and I quote, 'I'll always take care of you and the baby. Trust me.'" She raised an eyebrow. "So, Aaron, when were you planning to follow through on that promise?" Aaron's parents, Richard and Linda, stared in shock, their faces somewhere between heart attack and existential crisis. Linda clutched her pearls so hard I thought they might snap. "A grandchild?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "We're going to be grandparents?" Richard looked like he needed a stiff drink, or maybe an exorcism. "Aaron? What the hell have you done?" Aaron stammered incoherently, beads of sweat now streaming down his face. I can explain. It's not what it looks like." "Not what it looks like?" Kimberly suddenly shrieked, her voice rising to a pitch that could shatter glass. She stormed toward him, her eyes blazing with fury. "You've been lying to me the whole time? And you got her pregnant? You lying, manipulative bastard!" Aaron raised his hands defensively. "Kim, please, it's not like that. I was just—" Smack! Kimberly's hand connected with his face in a slap that echoed through the room. The crowd collectively gasped again. Somewhere in the back, someone muttered, "Damn, that was loud." "Oh, you think that's all?" Kimberly hissed. She slapped him again, and again. "You ruined my life. You embarrassed me in front of everyone." Meanwhile, her parents were screaming something about family honor and public disgrace, but their words were drowned out by the chaos erupting around them. Guests were whispering, taking pictures, and generally enjoying the free entertainment. Aaron, now visibly panicking, tried to back away. "Let's just calm down, okay? We can fix this." Crash! In his frantic attempt to escape Kimberly's wrath, Aaron tripped and fell straight into the enormous 4-tier wedding cake. Frosting and fondant exploded everywhere, covering him like some tragic slapstick comedy scene. Guests gasped, then burst into laughter. Aaron flailed, trying to stand but slipping on the cake's remains. He looked ridiculous, his expensive tux now a mess of white frosting and crushed dreams. Kimberly glared at him, hands on her hips, while Amelia crossed her arms, smirking in triumph. Looks like the groom's having a rough day, I muttered to myself, raising a glass of champagne to my lips. I took a slow, satisfied sip as I watched the pandemonium unfold. Honestly, this was better than any movie I'd ever seen. Aaron's parents rushed forward, trying to salvage what little dignity remained, but it was too late. The damage was done. Kimberly stormed out, her parents trailing behind her, shouting threats of lawsuits and ruined reputations. Amelia turned on her heel and strutted away, clearly relishing her victory. As for Aaron, he lay there in the ruins of his perfect wedding, covered in cake, humiliated beyond repair. I couldn't help but grin. "Cheers, Aaron," I whispered. "You wanted competition, and you got it." With that, I downed the rest of my champagne, savoring every sweet, fizzy second. By the way, Aaron ran away from the wedding in an unknown direction. The day after the wedding of mass destruction, I found myself sitting in the family living room, sipping coffee as my parents nervously shuffled around like kids caught skipping school. Across from me, Amelia sat tall and confident, exuding the kind of quiet strength you only get after publicly annihilating a cheating ex. Meanwhile, Mom and Dad looked like they'd aged 10 years overnight. "Thank you both for coming," Dad finally mumbled, clearing his throat. He glanced awkwardly at Amelia. "We, wanted to discuss how we can move forward. You know, find a solution that works for everyone." I raised an eyebrow, taking a slow sip of my coffee. "Oh, now you want to move forward? Funny how that works after your golden boy face-planted into a wedding cake." "Jim," Mom interjected, clearly uncomfortable. "Let's not make this harder than it has to be." "Oh, you mean harder than having my wedding sabotaged and then watching my brother's entire life implode in front of 100 people? "Sure, Mom. I'll play nice," I said, flashing a grin that was anything but nice. Amelia chuckled quietly beside me, clearly enjoying the show. But she wasn't here just for laughs. She had business to settle. She leaned forward, fixing my parents with a calm but firm gaze. "I'm not here to make trouble," she began. "But Aaron made promises to me that he broke. I'm 7 months pregnant with his child. I need support, and I'm not going to let him walk away from this responsibility." Dad looked like he might faint. Mom fidgeted with the hem of her blouse. "Of course," she said quickly. "We understand. We want to be involved. We want to support you and the baby. We can help financially, pay for medical expenses, the birth, whatever you need." "Good," Amelia replied, "because I'm not interested in half measures. I want everything in writing, a legally binding agreement. And once the baby is born, we'll confirm Aaron's paternity through a DNA test. After that, I expect regular financial support. In return, you get the right to participate in your grandchild's life." Mom and Dad exchanged panicked glances. Clearly this wasn't the cozy family meeting they'd envisioned. "A DNA test?" Mom stammered. "It's really wise to dispel all doubts." "Yes," Amelia said firmly. "I want this done right. No loopholes, no excuses." Dad sighed heavily and rubbed his temples. "Fine. We'll bring in a lawyer to draft the agreement. But this has to stay private. We can't afford any more bad press." "Private?" I snorted. "Good luck with that. Half the wedding guests probably posted videos online already. Face it, Dad, this scandal's going viral whether you like it or not." Amelia leaned back, satisfied. "As long as I get the support I need, I don't care who's talking." A few hours later, the doorbell rang. Mom hurried to answer it, and in walked a lawyer, briefcase in hand. Over the next hour, we went through every detail of the agreement. Amelia remained calm and composed, negotiating like a pro. By the time the documents were signed, my parents looked thoroughly defeated. 2 weeks went by, and Aaron still hadn't shown up after his grand wedding escape. No calls, no texts, not even a snarky message blaming me for his downfall. Everyone was scrambling to find him. His friends, his fiancé-turned-ex, and of course Mom and Dad, who were probably hoping he'd pop up and magically fix this PR nightmare. Spoiler alert, he didn't. Turns out, Aaron was exactly where I expected him to be, Las Vegas, the world capital of bad decisions. He wasn't hiding out in some luxury penthouse, though. Oh no. When they found him, he was passed out on a blackjack table, looking like a drunken raccoon that had just lost all its acorns in a poker game. Word on the street, and by street, I mean from Mom, was that he'd been on a week-long bender, drinking like a fish and throwing cash around like it was Monopoly money. Stress relief, he called it. I call it self-destructing with style. When they finally dragged his sorry ass home, he was in rough shape, hungover, broke, and looking like the human embodiment of regret. Dad nearly had a stroke when he found out how much Aaron had lost in Vegas. Let's just say it was enough to make even our wealthy parents break out in a cold sweat. That was the final straw. Richard and Linda officially pulled the plug on Aaron's golden boy privileges. They kicked him out of the company and shipped him off to some fancy rehab facility to recover from his gambling and drinking habits. He's probably there right now, whining about how life is so unfair while sipping detox smoothies. A few days later, I got the call. The one where my parents, voices full of awkward humility, asked to meet with me. I wasn't expecting much, but curiosity got the better of me. So there I was, sitting across from them in their overly lavish living room, waiting for whatever nonsense they had prepared. "Jim," Dad began, clearing his throat. "Your mother and we owe you an apology." I blinked. An apology? From them? Well, there's a first time for everything. "We realize now that we were too lenient with Aaron," Mom added, wringing her hands nervously. "We didn't handle things the right way, and you've been treated unfairly because of it." "No kidding," I said, crossing my arms. "So, what do you want from me now? Let me guess. You want me to take over Aaron's position at the company, right?" Dad nodded, looking hopeful. "Yes. We believe you're the right person to lead the business now. You've proven yourself to be responsible and—" "Stop right there," I interrupted, holding up a hand. "Let me save you some time. I'm not interested. I've got my own career, my own life, and I don't need your business or your approval. So thanks, but no thanks." They both looked stunned, as if the idea of me saying no had never crossed their minds. Well, tough luck. I was done chasing their validation. "Jim, please think about it," Mom pleaded. "I have," I said, standing up. "And I'm done playing your games. Take care of Aaron. Take care of your company. Take care of yourselves. I'm out." With that, I walked out, feeling lighter than I had in years. They could keep their family drama. I had better things to do, like, living my life without all the BS. Fast forward a few months, and things were looking up. I'd kept my distance from the family circus, focusing on my work and just enjoying the peace and quiet. Then, out of nowhere, I met Martha. She was smart, funny, and had a smile that could melt glaciers. Best of all, she didn't come with a truckload of emotional baggage or ulterior motives. Our first date was simple, a stroll through the park and dinner at a cozy little restaurant. We laughed, talked about everything under the sun, and I found myself thinking, maybe this is what normal feels like. We started seeing each other regularly, and for the first time in forever, I felt like I was building something real. No schemes, no betrayals, just two people enjoying each other's company. One evening, after a particularly great date, Martha leaned in and whispered, "You know, Jim, I like how grounded you are. You've got this calm confidence, like you've been through the ringer but came out stronger." I smiled and kissed her gently. Let's just say I've had a lot of practice. But now I'm ready for something real. And that's exactly what I had with Martha. Something real. No drama, no sabotage, just happiness. Maybe, for once, life had finally decided to cut me a break.